Good morning, Bubus.
Good morning.
Today's another wonderful day, and we're so happy to be here with you. Good morning to everyone that's watching out there, and if it's not morning, whatever time it is, good
day.
Good day. Bonjour. Before we get started, and we just wanted to mention the promo code on eBay. Help us get out of eBay jail. We need to hit a certain number of sales before a certain date. And in order to help you guys do that, we want to make it as easy for you as possible. So we've created a 20% off discount code for our eBay store. Mm-hmm. The promo code is Morning Bubu. It's all one word, MORNINGBUBU, to get 20% off everything you buy from our store in a purchase. So yeah, if you guys are looking for some cool clothes for festival season, or just to wear for vacation, for
weddings,
a barbecue, a wedding, there's so many reasons to want to upgrade your style. Not that you have to, but you have the choice. And when you do make that choice, we hope that you shop with us. Mm-hmm. So check us out on our eBay store. The description is below. We also have items for sale on Depop, Poshmark, and our website as well. Whichever is easiest for you. But truly, we could use your help on the eBay side. So if you're already shopping for clothes on eBay, feel free to go check it out.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
So this morning I was scrolling on YouTube, and I came across this guy I subscribe to. His name's Brian Withers, and he calls himself an empowerment coach.
Okay.
And the topic that he discussed today was on the topic of fear, and how it is that getting caught up in the fear that we feel on a day-to-day basis is the thing that helps. That actually doesn't help, but it prevents us from taking that next step forward into the things that we want. So I wanted to take a little bit of time and talk about that today.
Cool. Yeah, I think that's a great topic.
Yeah. I think it's particularly applicable to us, to what it is that we're doing, because everything that it is that we're doing is technically because we've overcome a fear of doing something.
Exactly, yeah.
And I have to tell you, it's the happiest I've been. I know for a long time when I was working jobs and doing stuff, again, I'm not against making money. That's not what I'm anti. I'm not anti-money. I am pro doing what it is that you feel is authentic and true to yourself. And a lot of times that authentic, true version of yourself that, is defining what it is that you actually want, we kind of lose touch with that, and instead we just get bombarded by fear, because fear is based off of things that have already happened, or that there's proof of, I think. And I feel like a lot of the fear that we juggle around in our heads when it comes to how a certain situation will play out, a lot of it comes from knowing that in the past, in situations like this, given these circumstances, it's turned out a not good way. So there's two facets to this fear that I want to talk about. And one is that facet when, based on past experience and data, it's the probability that something will or will not turn out, and how it is that we feel about that outcome. And then the other kind of fear that I want to talk about is the kind of fear that can help break you out of loops, negative loops that we are coming across in our day-to-day lives. Just patterns that are playing out over and over again. A lot of people will call this karma, but it's something that I've noticed to be true in my life when I really take the time to, detach myself from feeling too much right now, and I take the time to look back on my life and think about things that have happened. I feel like there are certain patterns or loops that I've experienced over and over again, and it wasn't until I was able to identify that those loops were happening and realize that there are opportunities for me to behave differently in order to get a different outcome, that it seemed to help break some of those loops.
Right.
Yeah, but that first like type of fear that we talk about, and this is the fear that I think keeps people from trying new things.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't seem like the path forward is murky, or it's not clear how something's going to turn out. So instead of taking that risk, lots of people are just going to stick to the safe play, just doing what they know. And unfortunately, what that begets is just the results that we know. And the way that a lot of the calculations that we're doing and the types of risks that we're really focusing on, for a lot of people, I want to say it's like financial. And unfortunately, like, don't get me wrong, I feel like there's a lot of financial, there are ways to take financial data and learn how to use it for yourself and to be able to make more money with it. But I think given what it is that I'm interested in and what it is that I want out of life, there isn't a whole lot of like sitting around and calculating that I want to do to determine what it is that I want to do next. That's just not the way that I work. And so there are these people that will not take a risk unless they know for certain that there's going to be this specific type of outcome.
Right.
But I think it's worth considering, though, that if you find yourself in a position where you're feeling as though the life that you're living is not recognizable, and you don't know, or no, actually, even if you do know what went wrong in the past, you can point back to all the terrible things that have happened to you. But the fact of the matter is if you have the wherewithal and the ability to sit in this present moment and think that, then you also have the ability to flip that on its ear and start understanding and thinking about why some of those things may have happened in terms of what your role was in those happenings, and see if there's anything that you can do to change the outcome based on your recognition of the pattern that's happening and your ability to choose to make a different choice when presented with that the next time around. But I don't know, that's where my head was at in regards to fear. Like, I don't know, we talked about it very briefly this morning, like fear. Like, what are some examples, or what can you think of that you've gone through recently where you've encountered something, you felt fear, but you were able to make a different choice? Or I've got something, actually.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, when it comes to like you went to the dentist the other day, and like there's fear that comes along with going to the dentist because you know all of the unpleasant things about being at the dentist. But I don't know, the discussion that we had was like, fear is fine, fear is normal, but it's not allowing yourself to get caught up in that fear and seized up and
letting it control you. Yeah.
Like the practice that like my jujitsu practice, I'll just keep talking about it because it's a big part of my life. Like, jujitsu is a very practical and real way that I am able to practice being put into positions that I don't want to be in.
Right.
And yet at the same time, like, not panicking, because as soon as you panic, you stop thinking about what you need to be doing and you start just focusing on what's currently happening to you. You don't give yourself that out. You don't give yourself the ability to clearly see any opportunities that may be present in front of you. Like, that is one, like, fear conquering thing. Any strategies or ways that you deal with fear?
I think for myself, because I've lived majority of my life with a lot of anxiety and some depression.
Yeah.
I think now where I am with practicing breaking cycles and just not having that fear, I think when I come across anything that might trigger my anxiety or fearfulness, I have to remind myself that it's not that serious. I don't know if that sounds a little just...
No, I think that's
like,
that's
just
that
so
angle.
simple, but like,
that angle is an interesting one to dig into.
But because, I don't know how to explain it. Because at the end of the day, anything that seems like, oh my gosh, it's really not. It's just it's just how you're choosing to see it in the moment. But if you, like in that moment, you take that back and you're like, oh, like, no stress. Mm-hmm. Even if it is a stressful, situation, just having that power and setting yourself up in that way where you're not fearful or stressed or anxiety, it does help.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know it sounds kind of, for people that might be going through those things, to hear this like, oh, it's easier than it
sounds dismissive.
Easier. Yeah, but when you actually practice it, and like I'm someone that, I'm living proof. I'm not saying I'm fixed or anything, but I'm a lot better than I used to be. But I feel like that probably helps the most. And also, you just have to practice it. So you have one instance where you might come across something or in a situation, you're like, oh my gosh, stressing out. But once you're like, no, it's okay.
Yeah.
And then you go through it and you're like, well, actually it was totally fine. Why was I freaking out? You build on those experiences, and the more you experience it and build it, it becomes a little less scary. Yeah.
And I think that is a skill set that, at least when I was in school, like in health class, I remember, do you remember health class? Did you have health class?
Yeah. Yeah.
Health class is where we learned about all the stuff, not looking back on it, like it was like really important stuff like that had to do with like actually living your life. Whereas all the other subjects were very like topic specific and whatever, like you need to learn math. I understand that. But health class was one that, as a student, I always thought of as like, this is a blow off class. Like it's so easy and whatever, like that's fine. I don't think they intended for it to be a difficult. They wanted to make it as easy for the students as possible. But the fact of the matter is they were covering a lot of stuff that wasn't being covered in the other classes that pertains to how, or like strategies, like strategies and tools to live your life through.
Yeah, that too.
And I remember very specifically going through a segment of talking about the different types of stress that people feel. There's stress and there's de-stress and eustress. Do you remember this?
No.
So
refresh my memory.
Like distress and eustress. Distress is when you feel stress and it like shakes you up, it throws you off your game. So that's like when you're in distress. And then there's eustress, which is stress that is guides the attention or the person to do the thing that needs to be done. And I think so much of life is learning to, like, first off, I can't believe that I remember that from health class in high school. So, what was my health teacher's name? It was Mr. Mike. He was a diving coach and a gymnastics coach. And I remember there was controversy because he married one of his student athletes. But, that happened after she graduated.
Good.
And if I recall correctly, I think he might have passed away not a few years back. But he was a great guy, and I learned a lot from him, clearly. But just thinking back and like how like glossed over that was from my own perspective. But it's so important, like, and I feel like that's a big part of like our mission. We want to continue that type of like education and just be a resource for thinking about things in a different, more positive way, because that's really the only power that we have.
Exactly.
Like we only truly have the power to change our perspective, and only once we change that perspective can all the other stuff come.
Right.
Like you have to be willing to think positively about how things may turn out, regardless of what's happened in the past. And even then, like the positivity isn't about being specific about how certain things are going to turn out. It's about having that hope that things will turn out, but not placing that expectation that something will turn out in a certain way. And then also, with that comes the maturity of, in the case that the expected or the hoped for outcome isn't what happens, learning to understand that you just happened to be wrong. It's not that what you were hoping for wasn't good enough or that it shouldn't have happened. It just didn't happen.
Yeah.
And the next thing you can do is, instead of being pouty and sad about things not working out the way that you expected them to or that you wanted them to is like, it is what it is, and on to the next.
Yeah. And I think that's how you also grow your confidence as well.
That's the only way to grow the confidence. Because any other kind of confidence is fake confidence. Like, everything is what it is. There is no changing that. And to be confident because you are able to
just realize that and just be like, okay.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
It is what it is. And then, you know, getting over the fear, the point that you had made earlier about realizing that it's not that serious. I think it kind of comes from having a very strong and like grounding relationship to your own personal big picture, like your own theory of how everything works. And that theory is obviously influenced by your parents, the schooling, like your teachers, anybody that you've interacted with. They're carrying around in their own head like their version of how everything or what everything is. And all that influences like what you think of everything. But once you are able to see the real, true, big picture, and you come to understand that a lot of the things that we're stressed out about or anxious about or have expectations of turning out a certain way, that all that is essentially made up, and the only thing we're here to do is basically observe and report, and we have the power to, like, as we spend our lives living amongst others, like loving them and performing acts of service to help them along their way and vice versa, like that's the only way that things work out. It's not about this game of building up resources and advancing science and technology to bulletproof people that can afford the bulletproofing, right? Like, I can see how some people have gotten it into their head that that's the way that you should play this game. That there are resources and there are people that are exploitable. Therefore, you know, because it is exploitable, it is your right to do it as long as it's not breaking any laws.
Yeah, it's wild.
Right? It's freaking crazy. But that is missing the point. That is missing the big picture. And we're here to just, through the way that we talk, the things that we talk about, try to embody what our big picture is. And if people are curious about it and they want to ask us about it, I'm happy to talk about it. But yeah, get yourself familiar and grounded in the big picture, guys, and, you know, really pursue it. Really pursue the big picture and trying to understand how you relate and fit into all of this. I assure you it's a little easier than you think, but good teachers go a long way. But you know, the reason I wanted to talk about this is, you know, we want to be a resource of people helping people get over their fear. Like, we want to be the fear eliminators. We want to wipe that shit out. So, yeah, that's why we're doing what we're doing. And so on this glorious, hot summer Sunday, or summer Wednesday. Sorry, I felt like it was Sunday because I was preaching. We hope you guys have a great day and move forward without fear.
Absolutely.
Knowing that in the end, like, there's only unity and love, and everything else is just noise. So with that,
let's raise our. Just kidding.
Yeah,
let's raise our hands.
Vibration. We'll be passing around the collection plate. A quick reminder: 20% off our eBay store. Promo code is morningboo.
Please use it.
Please use it.
Spread the word.
Spread the word. Help support the mission.
Yes.
And
join us.
You know, join us in spreading the good vibes. Thanks for joining, guys. Catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye.